Hey, this is Steve Morris with EOS Worldwide. And if you really want to learn how to level up your life, you should be listening to the Time to Shine Today podcast with my good friend, Scott Ferguson. Let's level up.
Time to Shine Today podcast, Varsity Squad. It's Scott Ferguson. We're at episode 293 with my good buddy, the yacht racer, Stephen Morris. Stephen designed race boats, sailed a navigator, and he used a lot of that to parlay into helping people as an executive coach with EOS level up their teams. He works with leadership teams, help them level up. The knowledge nuggets he drops are absolutely fantastic. So I'd strongly recommend you breaking out your notebooks. So without further ado, here's my really good friend, Stephen Morris. Let's level up. Time to Shine Today podcast, Varsity Squad. This is Scott Ferguson, and I have a coach, a level up coach. He has so much of a intriguing background to me because I love the water. I'm literally looking at the Atlantic Ocean and just enjoying this sunrise. It's almost done, but it's absolutely beautiful. My friend here has sailed the seas competitively, and he also had a career of designing multi-million-dollar racing yachts, building and coaching high-performing teams to help his clients win the world's toughest races. Now, my good friend Steve Morris here, as a coach and professional EOS implementer, he helps people, teams, and businesses get unstuck, sail forward, love that, building fun and profitable businesses. And Steve, thank you so much for coming on. Please introduce yourself to Time to Shine Today podcast, Varsity Squad. But first, what's your favorite color and why?
My favorite color is blue.
Blue?
It's yeah,
basic, kind of makes sense.
Blue. Yeah.
little ocean, and you got those blue eyes rocking too, man. So
and
you're watching on YouTube or Vimeo or what else, is a handsome cat right here. He told me his age, and I'm blown away. So he obviously takes care of himself. So Steve, let's kind of dig into a little bit of this of you getting out of college, joining I'm just going to call it like a racing circuit or yacht circuit or whatnot, and then kind of leveling up into the EOS family for coaching.
Yeah. Well, it's been quite a journey, literally a voyage that I've gone on through my life, and everything I'm doing now has a foundation and, where I started with my career. So, I grew up in New Zealand, sailing with my parents and my family, and went to college, studied engineering, and got out of college. My first job was working on a professional sailing team. So, I went from studying with books and using a calculator to getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning, going to the gym and lifting a lot of iron off the floor to get ready to, go out sailing for the day. And this was my first, real introduction to the world of professional athletes and bringing together, a really cool team. And it really sort of informed and led to, a lot of years in my life of working with high-performing teams and just seeing how magical it is when we can get it right and the whole team comes together, and just what a grind it can be, when you've got a project you got to get done with a team that's not coming together and not gelling and achieving what it needs to achieve. So long career working with high-performing teams.
Yeah, and they're athletes. Like, people don't understand it. Like, even a pit crew, right? And like NASCAR or whatnot, they're athletes that are going out there and working as a team. So what did you learn from, because I was blessed, I didn't talk about this, but like I was able to go out with a team when I was in the military out in San Diego and Coronado. They actually had what was Dennis, the guy, he had his boat there when he won it.
Dennis Conner,
Dennis Conner.
Stars and Stripes.
Right, okay, Stars and Stripes. I didn't get to ride on that, but there was a couple of guys from the team were out, and I got to come back and observe on the bow, kind of like stay way the hell out of the way. What was the cohesion factor that made everybody work together? Was there an actual coach that coached everybody? Like, how did that work?
Well, so that whole progression's changed over many years, right?
Okay.
So when I started in the sport, it was actually an amateur sport. So we were bringing together a group of people who had day jobs, and they were putting those day jobs
Yeah,
aside
right.
to come sail on the boat and to be able to like race around the world. And that was their passion. The trainer we had was an incredible guy. He was actually a Commonwealth weightlifter, a gold medalist in the Commonwealth Games. He was all of about 4'11" tall and about 4'11" wide. You know, he could lift. He was built to lift iron off the floor. But you know,
Right.
he was our trainer
Mhm.
from the athletic side, and then there was also, you know, from the sailing side, we were bringing people in, and then ultimately, and this is what I find so interesting, you know, it's about the psychology too of bringing together teams, and but not a lot of that existed 30 years ago,
Right.
right? And this is what I've really seen as this transition over time in the sport of sailing went from being amateur to professional over about a 20-year period. And that, you know, meant it was very different as I started to interact with the teams, because it was
Sure.
going from people who had a day job and sailing was a hobby to people that did this, you know, 7 days a week, right?
Right.
And then just sort of seeing that people having to really up their game, how they're bringing together teams. And,
Sure.
you know, you talk about, you're asking about, you know, so, you know, what's the magic sauce there? And it's really about being able to pull a group of people together and develop this trust, right? This deep, deep level of trust in the team, so that everybody kind of really knows why they're there, what their job is, what their function in the team is, and where the team's going to go. And, you know, I think the ultimate thing is sort of knowing when you come into the room that everybody else there has got your back,
Sure.
right?
Right.
And they're there.
Were you
To
guys a
take you forward.
family when you raced? Like, did you do stuff off the boat, or people kind of go their separate ways?
Well, so early on in my career, yeah, that was very much like that. You know, Friday nights when we were done sailing, it was off to the. There was a bar in Auckland. It was, I think it was called the Leopard, was its technical name, but we called it the Spotty Dog.
Spotty talk. I love it. I love it. So, you know, it's funny when you talk about, all I hear is evolution, you know, from the what you had. And I've been in the sport of mixed martial arts for such a long time. And it used to go from people that would bounce at bars and go brawl in a basically a makeshift ring to now what it is. It's just it's amazing, the evolution, because it takes that somebody that really spearhead that to make it happen. I love that you've lived this journey. So then coaching, what brought you into the world, especially EOS, because EOS is very established, very reputable. But what brought you into the coaching?
So across my career, you know, I did the sailboat work for many years. You know, and it was really seeing that and experiencing the high performing teams, right? And then I sort of got curious, because I could see that managing like large groups of people, leading large groups of people, there was something missing in that world. So I went, you know, this brief interlude, I went into government contracting in Washington, D.C., became a certified project manager, learned how to manage, you know, much larger groups of people, multi-million-dollar budgets.
Right.
But then I wanted to sort of come back. I had this deep interest in business. So came back and started my own company, really around this mission and passion to help people, teams, and businesses get unstuck. And I wanted to work with business leadership teams, help them be able to elevate their game. And along the way, I came across, you know, EOS and Traction. The book Traction's now sold over 1 million copies.
Great book. Yep.
We've got a lot of things going on at the moment about promoting Traction. In fact, giving away 15,000 free copies of Traction into the world. But what I see, you know, my passion in this is people creating businesses. Businesses are the lifeblood of our community, particularly small businesses, right? They provide wealth to people, they provide stability, they provide jobs, they create communities where we all want to live.
Sure.
But what I see is not everybody has the tools. I didn't have the tools 30 years ago when I was rising to become a leader, the top yacht design company in the world. I didn't have the tools to know how you bring a group of people together in a business and be able to take them forward. And that's what I love about EOS is it's a set of tools, it's a framework that help a leadership team get three things, get sorted out about their vision for the business, where they're going, and getting on the same page about where the business is going. And then traction, right? Like getting the discipline, getting the accountability into the business. And then the important part is healthy. Working together as a healthy, functional, cohesive leadership team, a group of people who love to come to work together. And that sort of brings me full circle back to, the sailing world.
I was going to say that, brother. Yeah. I love that. So do you work with mainly groups, or do you have one-on-ones?
So our model is we work with the leadership team of a business.
Beautiful.
So it's usually the owner, founder,
okay,
and their sort of group of direct reports. It's probably usually a group of somewhere between 4 to 6 to 7 individuals that are taking the business forward.
Thank you for opening this door, because I have a question. I deal with it daily when I coach companies and groups and whatnot. So it's generally kind of a human resources says, hey, man, we need to get coaching. So the CEO, the big dog, says, okay, let's find out. Okay, we're bringing in Steve Morris, man, from EOS. He levels people up. How do you handle the person that's right below that CEO that doesn't think they need the coaching? And I'm asking this because I want to learn, because I'm dealing with it. Well, you know what I'm saying? You always have that one. It's like, what the is this guy doing here?
Yes, exactly. What's this person doing here, and how are they going to help me? Right. So there are different viewpoints, right, within the business. We have the visionary, the founder, the person who's at the 30,000 foot level. They're looking out, figuring out, where are we going next?
We're not in the trenches.
Not in the trenches, right? And so the next person down, we call the integrator, right? And the integrator in our world is the person who beats the drum for the organization. They're the glue that holds everything together, and they coordinate across the leadership team.
Sure.
So what I'm doing in coming in and working with that integrator is giving them a set of tools that makes their life easier. That gives them the things that they need to be able to get all of the trains running on time and not have it be a house on fire every single day. And that's what I see a lot of, as people, particularly, that integrator role can be chaotic at times, right?
Right.
There's 136 issues happening every single day.
He's getting hammered from both sides, the 30,000 foot view guy and his, I call them underlings, but it's the people that report to him. I love that you said that, because you got the integrator involved in full force, because again, it might be that visionary that oversees it, and they're really not attending so much to where the integrator is, and he's got to answer to the CEO and whatnot. So I love that. And so, Steve, what do you think then makes a great coach?
I think what makes a great coach is somebody who's able to come in and see the team where it is, right? To be able to understand how the team got there, all of the stuff that's going on, but then to listen to where the team wants to go, and then to be able to figure out, to the coaching part is coming up with a path, a journey, to be able to take that team to where they want to go. And that's, I love that.
And how do you do that?
To sailing again, because I was a navigator on a boat. And what does a navigator do? You've got a chart.
I love it, dude.
Skipper says this is where we need to get to. The navigator looks at the chart and plots the path, the best, fastest, safest path that we can get through to the destination.
The parallels of, I've heard you say voyage. I've heard you say sail. I love that you use the aquatic into it. And also you're asking the super powerful questions that helps them reveal their blind spot. I love your technique, we'll call it, that you're using. So when you're starting to work with a team, and maybe it's the integrator that you're kind of sitting down with, because we've covered that he has to answer to all sides. Is there any good question that you wish he or she would ask you but never do during the discovery period?
That's a good question. Yeah. The things that I sort of typically get is sort of like, how long is this going to take?
I love it.
You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Okay.
But, this is,
What's
it's
your
such
answer to that?
so it's typically 2 years,
Okay.
right? I'm not there to wave a magic wand. I can't cure things instantly. And oh, by the way, and I'm just the coach. They're the
Right.
people that need to do the work, right?
Sure.
They're the
Okay.
athletes who need to do the training, get the reps and
Absurd.
build
Absolutely.
the muscle.
Oh my gosh, I wrote down reps on my table here. I'm not even lying. It says reps right there. I love that you said that. Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, I mean, it's sort of, it's really about, putting the systems in place to be able to bring that team forward to the next level. And so I think, there are a lot of questions in people's minds. I mean, they see where they want to get to. The biggest thing is just wanting to get there quickly, but yet everybody's busy with their day jobs. Like when I'm going into businesses, talking to people, I don't see people sitting around with nothing to do all day.
Right.
In business these days, right? Everybody's busy. Everybody's got a full plate, just trying to keep everything going, everything balanced in the business. And so to come in and say, well, I've got a set of tools. I'm going to teach you these tools and it's going to save you time, right? But first I've got to teach you these tools and you're going to have to learn them and you have to practice them, right? So we've got a little bump in the middle there, but ultimately you get to something that we call the EOS life. And the EOS life has 5 parts to it. It's doing things that you love, with people that you love, and making a huge impact in the world, making a dent in the universe. The 4th component is getting compensated appropriately, right? We all need to get paid for the work we do. But the 5th and really important thing for me and for my clients is having time for other passions, right? So what I see is people, they're working in the business, they're working 60 hours a week, 70 hours a week. Maybe if you're Elon Musk, you're working 120 hours a week.
Sure. Absolutely.
Right. But not everybody wants to do that. And that's not always sustainable, right? You've got a family, you've got, my kids are growing now. And, I wonder about the times when I was at work and, missing things.
Kind of cats in the cradle thing song, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Growing up and stuff. So this is what I'm working with leadership teams to create the structure in the business that ultimately leads to them having more time to follow their passions, to go spend more time with the family.
Sure.
And things that I really care about and I think are important is take care of your health and longevity and being around for your kids and your grandkids and everything. So
Steve, if I'm at a networking event, press and flash, meeting people, and I'm the guy that I don't care about talking about myself at all. I'm curious as hell, right? What am I hearing from them in a sidebar one-to-one conversation that would make them a great prospect, referral, or contact for your coaching?
Yeah, so the number one thing that we see out there is, your entrepreneur, your business owner have built a business. They've had this passion. That's why they started the business.
Sure.
And the business is growing and they've been successful. Now, all of a sudden, they're managing people.
Right.
Right. And they're trying to hire people, or people are leaving. People aren't doing the things that they are supposed to be doing. So what I hear is, talking about just, do we have the right people on the bus here, and people issues and how people issues are getting in the way of them being able to take their businesses forward.
Wow, that's awesome.
So that's one thing, the other one, which is also, can be a perennial issue, is just spending too much time is what I'm talking about. Is, somebody's just in the business,
right?
70 hours a week, they're there 7 days a week. They're just trying to take their business forward, and other things in their life are suffering as a result.
Right.
So just listening for those things, because it means, when I'm hearing that, it means that we can improve things, we can take the company to the next level by putting an operating system in the business that allows the business to run more efficiently, more quickly, make more profit, and have more fun.
Yeah, and you keep mentioning that commodity that we never get back is time, and that awesome. That kind of segues into a little bit of my next question. Have you seen the movie Back to the Future?
Yeah. Oh, it's a while ago.
Okay, yeah, it's almost 40 years old, but let's get in that DeLorean with Marty McFly, okay? Let's go back to the Double Deuce, the 22-year-old Steve. What kind of knowledge nuggets would you be dropping on him to maybe help him not change anything so much, because your journey's awesome, but maybe help him shorten his learning curve, blast through, and maybe just level up, just maybe a little bit quicker?
It would be paying more attention to people and relationships along the way.
Love it.
I think, when I was a young engineer and, working on these sailing teams, I mean, we were very sort of focused on results and getting things done from the outside. I don't know if we were as necessarily sort of interpersonally focused.
Right.
And, but that's the sort of the magic, I think, that I saw and experienced in really high performing teams coming together as a group, building that deep trust, and then being able to leverage that trust to really be able to take that team to the next level.
So good. So, Steve, how do you want your dash remembered? That little line in between your incarnation date and your expiration date. Hopefully it's a long ways down the road, your life date, death date. How do you want that little dash remembered about you?
Oh, that's a good question. So there's something about, there's a making a difference, but there's a way of talking about this that, so Seth Godin was interviewed by Tim Ferriss a couple of years ago, and he talks about this idea of being of service to people, to switch on a light for people who need a light. And that struck with me as really something that, I love about the work that I do. I don't necessarily know, who needs a light or where they need it or
come on, Steve, you got to do the metaphor thing. Come on, lighthouse. You're sailing towards it. No, I love it, man, because you are legitimately planting trees for companies that you're probably never going to sit in the shade of, because you get them there and they take off and run with you. That's what I love about coaching too. And it sounds to me like you're not also a coach, but you're also a mentor in a sense. That my mentor always said that, the more you mentor and teach, the more immortal you become. And I love it because your delivery is awesome as well. So what do you think people misunderstand the most about Steve?
I'm sorry, the people misunderstand about
you?
About me? Well, I listen a lot, right? And so sometimes in this world, it's a noisy world.
Yeah.
People who sit and listen kind of can sometimes get bypassed in the conversation, whereas they're actually picking things up and making the connections. And that's one of the things I listen deeply to what's going on, and then I need to think about that and figure out what all that all means and what the patterns are and move forward.
Sure.
So
before you respond, I love that, because it seems to me like you listen with all your senses, not just your ears. Like we call it listening with your neck, like you're really into listening. I love that about that's what makes you a great coach. So what, if anything, keeps Steve up at night?
It's really just knowing that there's more businesses out there that need my help. Right. And it's not just me from a selfish, business perspective. Sure. It's like, I really truly believe that businesses are the foundation of communities. And, I've spent a long time living in Baltimore, and, there's a city there that needs businesses that I've seen the effect of what happens when a city doesn't have businesses. It's not good.
Love your passion, man. I love your passion. So, Steve, what is your definition of a life well lived?
It's to be able to go through a life and to be able to make a difference along the way, right? To be able to treat people well.
Wow.
I just, pay attention to the journey.
Love that.
It goes quickly.
Dude, it does,
You know?
man. I go back to another John Hughes film with Ferris Bueller's Day Off, where he's like, life goes by fast, man. If you don't sit back and absorb it just a little bit, it'll go right by you. I love your technique, man. This is gonna be awesome. I'm just thinking of companies right now for you. Time to Shine Today podcast Varsity Squad. We are back with my awesome sauce, top-notch leadership coach, Steve Morris here. And Steve, you and I could literally, we might one day, I might come out to Colorado and get a couple brain grenades and hang out. And we could probably talk 15, 20 minutes off of each one of these questions. But you have 5 seconds with no explanations, and they can all be done that way. You ready to level up?
Okay.
Let's do this, baby.
All right.
What is the best leveling up advice Steve's ever received?
Take a breath.
Love that. Share one of your personal habits that contributes to success.
Exercise every morning I can.
Beautiful. If you see me walking down the street, man, Fergie looks like he's in his doldrums a little bit. I'm going to help him. What book are you handing me?
Oh, 5 seconds.
You can turn around and look at one of those if you want.
Yeah, no, there's a book by Thich Nhat Hanh called Reconciliation.
Okay, I will look into that. Donnie, put that in the show notes, please. Awesome, thank you. What's your most commonly used emoji when you text?
Smiley face.
Love it. Nicknames growing up?
My sister used to call me Bean.
Bean. I love it, love it, love it. Chess, checkers, or Monopoly?
Chess.
Love it. What's your go-to flavor for ice cream?
Hokey pokey.
Really nice. There's a sandwich named the Stephen Morris. What's on that sandwich?
Bacon, tomato, mayonnaise.
You and I are hanging out, dude. Yeah, I heard bacon. I'm like, man, candy. Yeah. So you got a time machine you can use for one day. Are you going 20 years in the future, 20 years in the past?
20 years into the future.
Love it. Love it. Any favorite charity organization like to give your time or money to?
Yes, there's Health and Human Performance Foundation.
Really?
They're all about breath work and teaching it to kids.
Is there a website you can send us after to take?
I can.
Oh yeah, please do that after. Donnie, please remind him. Awesome. Last question. You can elaborate a little bit on this one, Stephen, but Steve, what is the best decade of music? 60s, 70s, 80s, or 90s?
60s.
60s, really? Who's your jam?
I don't know. I mean, I've gone through phases, right? It's sort of like, you start off listening to the Beatles and then you end up with the Rolling Stones or something. But every once in a while, something will come on the radio that kind of takes you back.
Dude, I love that you say that, because another question I sometimes ask is like the Beatles, Stones, Beach Boys, or Four Seasons. I would say that. And a lot of people don't know Frankie Valli. Frankie Valli, like I see him every year in concert, except for COVID year. Like guy's like 86 years old. But one thing about Four Seasons is they've had a #1 hit before the Beatles, during the Beatles, and after the Beatles. I just love them. But I love all genres. I'm an 80s guy. I graduated in 1990. So I kind of like my big hair, don't care kind of thing. So Steve, how can we find you, brother?
So I'm available probably through LinkedIn is like a really easy way of finding me, Stephen A. Morris, and look up EOS Implementer. Otherwise, I'm steve.morris@eosworldwide.com.
Love it.
Find me there.
And all that will be in the show notes, squad. And Steve, do me one last favor. Leave us with one last knowledge nugget we can take with us, internalize, and take action on.
All right. So the big thing is, right, you're turning up to work. Stuff's triggering you, right? So there's something Professor Andrew Huberman talks about. It's a physiological sigh. Just take a breath, but no, take 2. So you inhale, 1, and then top it up, 2, and let it out. Do that 3 times, and it triggers a hardwired circuit in your brain that gets you to calm down.
I love it. I love it. I'm a huge breath work. I'm a Wim Hof disciple in a sense. I don't get in the ice as much, although I do cryo once a week, but not in ice. I'll walk into it. So squad, we literally, I have pages upon pages of notes here. If you're watching, with my good friend here, Steve Morris, who's living a voyage of life. He's living, he's thriving, not just surviving. And he wants to help you and your company do that. He wants to make sure that if you're working with a leadership coach, hopefully it's him, but if it's anybody else, that you have to develop a deep level of trust. If you know something's missing, Steve will help your company find that piece and build a team around it and put the reps in to make it happen. He reminds us that business is the lifeblood of community. It creates jobs, it creates happiness, it puts money in your pocket, it allows you to kind of have what you really want in life. That he mentioned traction, being healthy, also the integrator of the company. If you're a coach and you're coaching people that are, a big company, the visionaries really doesn't see everything like that integrator. He's in the trenches, so he's going to work. Steve works with that integrator, give him a set of tools to make his or her life easier, and also to pass those tools to the team so they can put the reps in to level up themselves. He'll tell us that a great coach sees where the team is and listens very intently to where it wants to go, and he will put you on that voyage. I love that, of where you're going to go. So in the 5 steps, and I'm abbreviating this, so make sure you go back and listen, but it's love, do what you love with the people that love what you do, that make an impact, get compensated, get that money, get paid, it's okay. And then make sure you have the time for other passions, so you're not just locked at work. Or like we say here within Time to Shine today, do what you love in the service of people that love what you do. If you're doing what you love, other people will notice that you love what they do, and they will listen. So he would remind himself and also others that are coming up in life to pay attention to relationships. They are very important. You're going to come across times when you don't know something. Relationships can help you get there. Like we say at Time to Shine today, that I got from my good friend Leah Woodford, get your asking gear, ask the questions to level up. Stephen will be remembered as somebody that planted trees he's never going to sit in the shade of, because his passion is so broad, but it's so locked in as well for what he wants you to see. Okay. And the life we'll live to him is making a difference to people and treating them well along the way and enjoying that voyage, that journey while you're doing it. Because so many people want to have a foot in the future, a foot in the past, and piss all over the present. Live now, enjoy the journey, and make sure you go back to his 2-breath exercise to level you up and kind of get rid of the anxiety and get moving forward. And Stephen, you level up your health, you level up your wealth. You're just an amazing human being. You earn your varsity squad letter here at Time to Shine today. You're humble, yet you're hungry. I love your guts, man. I can't wait to collaborate with you in the future, brother.
All right. Well, Scott, thank you so much for having me. This has been a great conversation this morning. Got me on my toes.
Yeah, right. We'll chat soon, brother.
All right. Thank you.
Hey, thanks so much for listening to this episode of Time to Shine Today podcast. Proudly brought to you by Sutter & Nugent Real Estate Excellence, who can be reached at 561-249-7266 and online at www.sutterandnugent.com. If you are a business owner or professional who would like to be interviewed on Time to Shine Today, please visit timetoshinetoday.com/guest. If you like this episode, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you get your podcasts. There's a link in the show notes to our website. Also there, you will see our recommended resources. We hope that you will support our show by supporting them. If you like what you've been listening to, it'd be great if you could just give us a 5-star rating and tell your friends how to subscribe while you're at it. I'm your host, Scott Ferguson, and until next time, let's level up. It's our time to shine.